Hello everybody. So in this screencast we're going to do a deep dive into activities. So the activity has a life cycle. These components have a life cycle. So basically an activity has a life cycle. And if you go to the the Android developer website, they actually indicate what is this life cycle. So basically when the activity is first launched, these are hook functions. So basically the onCreate gets called, and then the onStart gets called, and then the onResume, and then the activity is running. So basically the activity is visible on the screen and the activity is running, right? Now, when another activity comes to the front of the screen to replace that activity, what happens is that the onPause of the activity gets called, and if the user comes back to the activity, the onResume gets called, and so on. So basically, whenever you want to reinitialize the application after it comes back to the screen, probably you put some code in the onResume, right? Now, if the activity actually is going to get destroyed, it will be on pause, on stop, and then on destroy. Okay? So, if the activity is no longer visible, it will go to on stop, and then it will go to on restart, and then it will go to on start, and then on resume. So basically, there is a life cycle. The most important, or the ones that we use most, are the on create, the on resume, and on destroy. That's mainly the three methods that we would like to look at, especially when you look at the activity lifecycle. So I'll post this link in the video, just to give you an idea of what happens when the activity starts, when the activity resumes, and so on. All right, so to investigate this, let's look at an activity. Let's pick an activity. So this is the activity that you've been using. Let me remove all the code that we have here. And basically, let me keep the tag, but I will remove the layout because we are not going to use this layout. We just have a very simple layout which has nothing in it, right? So now let's say we already have the onCreate. So let's add a tag here. So logd and the onCreate just to print it, right? Similarly, I'm going to I will go to code and override methods, and there are some methods, like for example I could type on create on resume, for example, right? On resume. Okay, so there is an on resume for the activity. Here it is. Or I can type it here if I want. I can go here and could say on resume. See, I'm gonna type here, and basically it creates, I override the method. Or I could also on destroy. Here it is. And then when you look at the other, so basically on resume, on create, on resume, on destroy. So basically let's focus on these. So basically I'll go here and say logd on resume, and then on destroy I'll say on logd. This is the on destroy, and then basically let's do the on pause, so that when you leave, on pause and on stop. Okay, on pause. All right, here it is, logd, on pause, and on stop, and similarly logd on stop. So now when I run the activity, these methods are going to be called. You don't actually call these methods. These methods are being called by the Android system. When it starts the activity, it will call these methods in sequence, and that sequence is called the life cycle. So basically the life cycle indicates on create, on start, on resume, and so on, right? So let's go back to the application, and here we are. So now if I run this, okay, you will see that we double click here. I will get this guy here, right? And we go here, and we can drag this one a little bit out. You can see also the life cycle. Okay, so now if we look at the log, here's the log, and let's filter the log by the tag, and you could say that on create was called first and then on resume. It is true, on create and then on resume, and then the application is running, right? Now if I click, let's say here, and let's say open Chrome, so basically I did an on pause and on stop. The application is not visible. We are here, right? Now when I go back to this application, so when I click here and go back, the on resume gets called. So I am actually here. So then it's going to go to on resume, right? So you could see that because I did not implement on restart, so you didn't see it. So if I implement on restart, you'll see it. So basically now, if I kill this application, so let's say we go here, right? And I go like this, and this means that it goes all the way, meaning that it goes through on pause, on stop, and on destroy. Okay, so basically you could see that there is a life cycle for this activity. That's very important to consider that, because the activity has a life cycle, and in specific instances or specific parts of that life cycle, we could reconfigure the activity, reinitialize it, or maybe it's time to store data. For example, on destroy, this means that this activity is going to get destroyed, so maybe this is the time to store some data, and so on. So that's an insight on the activity lifecycle, and I'll post this in the video, the link to the activity lifecycle in the video. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.